According to a quick Google search, there are approximately 252 million white Americans and white Europeans. They all contain the middle class. So you can't really produce a higher quantity of middle class in the world because there's only 252 million of them. Anything that comes off as a threat is usually contained, so that way they feel that they are in the right place, leading the world in their modern technology. The scientific term till there comes something better is irrelevant here because the USA is always snooping around. The USA is always snooping around with their small population. Any sort of economic uprising or social uprising, the USA hits the nation with a sanction and backs up their sanction in US dollar worth with their military. There is the addition of systematic racism that everyone experiences when they come to America to make a killing. But who's not to say that it's because white men and white women are taught all over the world to preserve their American culture and their white identity that it's prevalent in such a society that they do it themselves. White America's interest to contain and secure the future for themselves and their children, and to be number one amongst the competition, which I think is harassment. Opposed to letting people do whatever they want. Down the road, they're going to say, this guy's doing something, this guy's thinking something, this guy's feeling something, and they feel, think, and say anything that's going to contain you and preserve white America's interest and competitive position of number one. Then there's going abroad and moving abroad. Same principle. Forcing America's interest as opposed to letting you do whatever you want and taking your women. And the white women, they're only infatuated by white men and the occasional ruthless intention to annihilate the white man himself, so they partner with other annihilations. When it comes down to this, China is supposedly annihilating with the Chinese products that they're selling, but they have decided, thanks to all the rumors that spread about of videography that's on the tube, they don't want that. And additionally, the Indians, because the global policy is that Pajit is all over the place, but they won't say something about another group of people because of the annihilation. Now we get into U.S. opportunity. Opportunity is really big. We just covered a little bit about what the USA's meaning of America's interest is, and that's basically just preserving the future for our children and your children, but more importantly our children, because we hold all the technology and innovation and socialism that's giving us the opportunity. But when it comes down to opportunity, the opportunity itself is the immigrant. The opportunity itself is the immigrant looking to make connections with other like-minded people, to have an economy with us minorities only, so that one day in the future that you stick with the minorities who built this sort of economy and this socialism that is sort of anti-white rhetoric, and you make some money off of it in the future for their children and our children, because now we're a minority and we're forcing the majority. Usual threats of this sort of uprising of minorities trying to make some money and earn a living, that you're going to get blown up in the future, and that usually doesn't happen because they're not the ones in the government and they really don't have control, but they do rebuttal. We could change our children to believe that they need to blow someone up because of these anti-competitive or this competition that he forces that we all have to compete with him, and he's now a lesser being. They literally just scare you, and they also scare you socially that they're going to vote together and they're not going to let you, and they also scare you physically that they're going to beat you up or get someone to annihilate you, some criminal white supremacist with a gun. The addition of physical altercation to scare you is also backed by colonization that they teach in school, that you might come across as the information of colonization to be quite detrimental and a nuisance, that we have to sort of learn about these things, but he, the white kid, comes off and says, hey, we did that, we could probably do it again. And thanks to all these white America's interests, having women only decide that they're infatuated by white men, and the ruthless annihilation of white men themselves by certain individuals and credentialed people, the USA is sort of a terrorist country where you come here to make a living, but the competition that you all have to commit to, as opposed to letting you do whatever you want, comes off as being so oppressive and aggressive that you're not able to achieve your goals. And someone somewhere is basically saying, we got a minority here who's going to try to make some money and try to get some marriage certification in the future. In the future, we're going to prevent that, and we're going to take all the money because intellectual property, there's no laws here, and the government can't do squat about it, and the police can't do squat about it because they're nowhere to be found. Thanks to euphemisms, you have a thought and you get an arm and a leg. That arm and a leg is to make sure your actions don't really achieve fruition. when you could do whatever it is you want, but we're instead holding all the information for a rainy day so that in the future we can make some money off of it. And that arm and leg is going to come back as an entire being who's literally saying we're not going to let you achieve your goals and get something, because that arm and leg that you got for your thoughts was me giving you an arm and leg which is bigger than your thought. So that was where I'll keep that information and do it in the future. It's either that or someone somewhere who's wealthy or has a decent job continuously banks his paychecks and his income, and then the US government prints more dollars for you to think again about in public and offer some value to your company, your future company, and hopefully get a job so that they can print more money. That's where you can achieve your goals. But we all know we can take something thanks to we're all human beings, we're all equal. My word versus your word. You have to be with someone, monogamy, and all these rhetoric with the Islamists getting blown up for inventing the camera, having algorithms that we use in code, and 9/11 that we can all pursue to be quite diligent in achieving aspirations for whatever manifestation they wanted to manifest. Now that I've sort of brushed upon the topics of white America's interest being this sort of terroristic idea, if you come to America, you don't have opportunity, you have to sort of be in this white mindset to make some money when you could do whatever you want, but someone's not going to let you. And touching upon some euphemisms that America basically tells any sort of business idea as the same thing, that they still express America's interest, but they're not going to let you get some. In other words, they're going to take your opportunity. And the euphemism, basically, America is an opportunity, but it's an opportunity for a majority of white people at this point to take more intellectual property and use social media to make a killing and things like that. The study of a need is particularly retarded. You could enjoy life buying whatever you want and just reviewing the heck out of it, keeping it or throwing it away. The economic study that there has to be a need for you to purchase something and increase your wealth or decrease your wealth and increase your system is bogus, because white men and white women all over the place can say, I don't want that. And they could also say, I don't want that to you, the minority. Just like your genes and other relatable identities regarding immigrants and American immigrants, they can say, I don't want that. That need economic study is a euphemism to saying that we don't want it. The study of a need is a system. Just like how you need System Tom, System Timothy, Timothy Tom knows Timothy, Tom, Tim, and an arm for the rest of your body, just a thought. System will look alike. You look alike like this person, so you're gonna be with this person, so that's what you're gonna do. System, some group of people in the world are the first human beings, so guess what? You Indians are gonna be with this group of people right after them. All of these are sort of conspiracies where they have the scientific study to back it, but someone's job is to contain conspiracies, so you won't be able to refute or argue them because it's not an American way. And you have to be stuck here dealing with white people telling you, oh, this is bad or this is good, until they sooner or later, this was something better that they realize, and then they take it for themselves and Americanize it. And they could get someone who doesn't particularly know where it comes from, but was told by someone white that this is good information, that he's supposed to pursue this ambition of letting everyone else know that he's white. Americans refute, that's the way it should be. And that's the way it should be until something comes better. The argument here is, no, a minority did it, we'll get someone better, we'll get some of us, and we'll say it's me, and we can get somebody they don't know. If you've seen this whole diaspora of white America's interest saying that we can get someone who's white, who doesn't know where it came from a minority, to tell other white people that it's white, then I'm making this video about the United States of America, and it's about anti-competitiveness, hypocrisy, and a whole load of other atrocities the USA does just to make some money and keep their #1 position, and I put them in the description so that you could read them out. And so, thanks to all that other information that I previously presented, we can now go back into what protocol the Americans did to get this result, that something new and better came along, that we got someone who doesn't know where it comes from, a minority, and say that it's white. And as this happens over and over again. This sort of technique and protocol allows America to continuously reap what they sow off minorities and other people who aren't American, so that the American agenda, America's interest, prevails as #1, and the image of America really does show that it's superior to everyone else in competition, which I think is harassment, as opposed to letting you do whatever you want. This happens in the voting level, in the society level, community level, and the government level. That's all because they're not white and they don't have the backing, the history, the technology, the resources, the people of educated people backing the intellectual property that makes the world or humanity modernized and better for everyone else. When you can just do whatever you want, but someone's out there containing it and making sure that America produces the next one so that they can copyright it and use America's military to back up the copyright. You can still do whatever you want. That sort of is science, a huge form of harassment and anti-competitiveness. Capitalism, a huge form of pillaging. They basically have this new word called capitalism, which is a euphemism to colonization, because they saw what it is they did to the rest of the world, and they made so much off of it. And there's also however much money there is and gold there is that particularly restrains the amount of wealth there is. This sort of comes back down to the amount of 252 million white Americans and white Europeans that control and demonstrate to the world the best possible method of living in society and modern. Once a minority or someone finds out what the USA does in pillaging through capitalism, the nation gets sanctioned. And the sanction happens specifically for these economic statements or economic clauses that help the nation perceive a better economic future. That specific clause gets sanctioned and you're no longer able to achieve or manifest your goals, and that's what America does very often. And if you're in the USA, then you're electronically intercepted. And if you're unable to contact your nation's government to tell them that these ideas could possibly help you, well, they're going to take those ideas that could possibly help them, but the USA is going to come back again and sanction them as a part of competition, which now I know is harassment because it's sort of ridiculous. You can't do whatever you want, but you're marketed, you can do whatever you want. Going back to 300 or 252 million white Americans and white Europeans, they sort of can't handle the dimension of 1 billion or 2 billion Indians or 2 billion Sino people, thanks to Bangladesh, Pakistan, Japan, Taiwan, and Singapore, and all the other race studies that there are. They can't handle it, so the whole idea is to make sure that they handle it so much that they take over it. Now, thanks to social media, we're all able to create brilliant ideas and work very hard to make sure our governments understand these ideas to make our economies better, or usually met with sanctions and other containment and rejections and feminism and things like that that aren't going to let you achieve your goals. Just on a side note, for some reason, just like most women do, they usually only let the king get some. If the king is issuing a mandate, then they'll tell everyone that you can achieve your sexual desires because the king has mandated something and it's new. But in the modern world, it has to do with America's 800 military bases throughout the world, competing as number one to beat this whole diaspora, to not let you achieve your goals and the technology to be produced in America. Which is a laughing matter in the States because they're just all around the place making sure that we stay number one. So you can't do whatever you want. You study really hard to do whatever you want. You can't do that. Someone's going to contain it and tell you America has to be number one. Competition is harassment. Currently, the USA has 800 military bases policing and enforcing human rights and other great ideas for economies and things that make sure that you can achieve your goals and related to white American science and white European sciences that they all agree upon. And when it comes down to the genes, that you have someone somewhere who has a white gene who can help white people still enforce this number one position, then you can. But if it's something that's going to help minorities, and we quickly reiterate that we're not this gene, we don't have this gene, we're this individual, so we can't do that. But if it's helping white people, then we all can. So this sort of harassment technology, competition technique is prevalent, and it's all over social media, but we rebuttal ourselves and we said we'll do the same thing, but we're faced with sanctions and the US dollar is backed by the military. In addition to the many things of what kings hold against the United States of America, there's street warfare, there's drug warfare, and people all over the world attain these social rhetorics that they can achieve money and other things that help humanity and whatever is on the earth achieve successes. So with that, this is the USA pretty much a tyranny. They have their 800 bases all over the world. They have white America's interests expressing they don't want to let you get some. They have feminism saying they don't want you to achieve your goals because they want to be rich themselves, thanks to the addition of social media and other policies that we see women excelling in. We have global military all around the world, global policy. We have sanctions. Anything we come up with as economic uprising, we can't make money there. We can't trade with them unless it's a white American. So it's a tyranny. Pretty damn much. If you like this video, hit the like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I'll read what it is you thought about this video and maybe rebuttal back what it is I think about your comment. See you in the next one.